Hey, Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. It's Monster Monday, and we are taking a look at a figure I guess I'm going to need 4 of at some point from an American Werewolf in London, the ultimate Nightmare Demons. American Werewolf in London, one of the greatest horror movies of all time, one of the greatest werewolf movies of all time. I will not say it is the greatest. Dog Soldiers is my personal favorite. As a matter of fact, I'd probably put Ginger Snaps up there as well. But I love An American Werewolf in London. It's a legendary film. If you, for some reason, haven't seen it, you must see it. On the back of the box, we've got, very important, NECA doesn't usually do cross-sells, but since it's all the same figure, technically this is a cross-sell. So you pick this guy up and you're like, oh, wow, look at this cool... First of all, let's look... I can't get my lighting... There we go. Awesome lenticular art on the front of the box. The Nightmare Demons follow you as you move across the room, so I'll be keeping at least this panel on the front here. And then you're in the store and you open it up and you're like, oh, look at that, check it out. Whoa, wait a minute. I need 4 of these. So that is, whether NECA... Well, NECA absolutely intended it that way. It is a cross-sell. Beautiful back. I feel like NECA has stepped their game up with the back of the packaging, doing cool things like this design between the images. You know, they've always had fantastic photography, but I feel like the design of the back of the box, the last year probably, has really been improved. Because I was always kind of just disappointed before, like, oh, it's pictures of the figure. Okay, cool. And now I just feel like they've leveled up a little bit. So, bottom of the box, credits for everybody. Boy, super tiny though. Why are they so tiny on this one? But anyway, credits for everybody that worked on this figure and brought it to our hands. So let's go ahead and just open this thing up now. I'm very excited. This was a Father's Day gift. That's right, my family is awesome. That I received. And was, you know, on my wish list, obviously. It's just something that I hadn't ordered for myself just yet. And look at that. So the backdrop of the inside is actually that background of the living room. Now, obviously, this was built by NECA's incredible photographers. And you can even see right here, I believe this is the fire from one of the Jason Voorhees sets. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. So we've got, you have your backdrop for your figure photography, just a simpler, you know, it's not an actual model, it's just an image, but it's pretty cool. I love the thought that goes into NECA's products. So let's get down to the tray. Let's unpack this thing. We've got these great plastic pieces, no tape. Everything is secured in here with just these... well, I spoke too soon. There is tape. Why do we need tape and that piece of plastic? I guess they probably designed it and then found out, well, our little piece of plastic isn't quite... keeping everything in place as well as we need it to, so let's throw some tape on there as well, as opposed to redesigning the whole entire interior tray. Another piece of plastic just in there with some tabs holding these guns in place, which, by the way, these guns, we're going to take a close look at these things because they look pretty incredible. Got a great looking torch, all of the different creature heads. Wait a minute. Is he... Oh, look at that. He's got a black... it's right above his belt, so you can't even quite tell it's there. I've hidden my nippers. Oh, gosh. These... I've said it before, and I'll probably say it every time I encounter them. These plastic tabs, to me, are worse than twist ties or anything else. I absolutely hate these things. All right. Keep our workspace tidy. it just occurred to me to look, and because I was curious, are these going to be packaged differently? Like, is it possible that NECA has... I'm wondering if any of the heads can fit, but it looks like they're all kind of specific to this. I was just wondering if there would be package variations where you could get each of the 4 heads on the central body when you buy the figure. But from what I've been able to look up and see, it does not appear to be the case. Very interesting. Okay. So, all these were designed by Rick Baker, who won the first ever Academy Award for makeup for An American Werewolf in London, which is incredible if you think about it. For the first time ever, the Academy awarded basically something that's relatively unique to horror movies in this way. And Rick Baker, I think he won it 7 times. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He won it for this. And he designed these insane monster looks. So what we have here is, I mean, essentially these are Nazis. This was 1981, and the horrors of World War II were fresh, but distant enough to be utilized for a nightmare sequence in a horror movie. Obviously Nazis are a horrible, touchy subject that even today people don't know how to approach. Like, you don't use Nazis in things like Captain America. They very quickly branched Red Skull away from Nazis and off into his own thing. And I think, at the time, it was still very fresh, but also something that could be recognized in pop culture in a different way than it is now. I'm not trying to get philosophical or anything here. It's very interesting to see what is essentially a Nazi action figure, but it's not, if that makes sense. And these are, again, from a nightmare that a character has in the movie. I guess what I'm trying to relay is the freshness of it, and then it makes sense that this character would have a nightmare about Nazi monsters coming to take his parents away. But let's take a look. I'm not sure how difficult this is going to be, because obviously if I pop the head off, I'll be able to get that helmet right off, but I'm concerned I can't pull like that. Let's just do this. There we go. Okay. So, helmet, since we're going to be setting this aside, just beautifully sculpted. And what's very interesting is, as a G.I. Joe collector, this is essentially Major Blood's helmet. But again, we know what it's based on. But the paint, the sculpt, look at the all the damage that's on here. It looks like actual bullets are kind of sunk in there. And just all of the sort of corrosion and everything that's sculpted into here. Let me try and move my light. See, there we go. I think that's a little better. Just looks fantastic. I love the gloss on this thing too. And then the chin strap is a very soft piece that I'm 100% concerned about popping off. So I'm going to be very, very careful with this. You get the little painted buckle on the bottom there. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that detail really, but it is beautifully detailed. And then our first monster portrait that's almost gorilla-like, I think. Right? Isn't that kind of a simian look? Like, my first thought was a snake, but I think it's actually more gorilla-like. And it is just a grotesque, decomposed, horrifying-looking thing. As far as the uniform goes, I mean, see, a very well-done military uniform. You've got the high, glossy boots. There's some wear sculpted and painted on the boots. My light's driving me a little crazy today. I don't know if I put it in the wrong position or what, but it's kind of, I feel like it's putting a glare on everything. We've got the buckles painted on the boots, the nice heel, the sole. Just looks absolutely great. Articulation-wise, it's standard, now standard action figure ankle articulation with the peg on the hinge. There is no articulation at the boot top, which I'm fine with because usually when you've got that boot top articulation and you turn it, it just doesn't look good anymore. So I'm fine with that. But what we have instead, I'm guessing, is we've got the same articulation at the knee that's at the ankle. You've got a peg attached to a hinge. Hip-wise, standard neck articulation. You can see the ball right in there. And then the upper thigh has that rotation. The waist is a ball joint. And then there is an additional joint underneath this soft plastic piece that's the torso. Hang on, let me fiddle with my lights some more. Maybe that's a little better. So we have, basically all NECA figures now have this piece on the torso, and then they've got a ball joint at the waist and a ball joint at the upper portion, like right under the chest, that, move a little bit. They don't give you a ton, but it just gives you a little bit of motion to play with. Shoulder-wise, there's no bicep swivel, but you do have the elbow swivel. And let me just say also, this guy's moving very nicely. Everything feels very sturdy. Nothing is stuck. I'm not nervous. Okay, well, that happened. But that's supposed to happen, so that's okay. We'll just set this grotesque beast aside for right now. And you can see there's a slot in the top here where that helmet goes on. Excuse me. So you've got a peg right here that's going to give you great mobility because the neck is mounted on a ball, and then the head is also mounted on a ball joint. So you've got a good range of motion on that head. Just all of the painted detail, all of the textures. I mean, look, now that they've kind of figured out their plastics and their articulation, NECA is putting out really the best figures on the market. Now that I can play around with one of these without being terrified that something is going to just break and snap off, which the last few releases I've gotten have been like that, where you've got nice thick discs here. All of the pegs that attach everything together are nice and thick. I'm just not, I'm still careful, but I'm not as terrified of just snapping these NECA figures apart as I used to be. So this is a great base here. They've created a fantastic 1 of 4 standard buck for this character. Just looks absolutely wonderful. So let's take a look at the other portraits. You have a very much a werewolf-y portrait that is similar, I would say, to a stage of David's transformation in the film, but is definitely different enough to where it's a little more of a nightmare werewolf, I guess, with the white here, the pointy ears. It's not quite midpoint transformation, which, by the way, whatever you say about any other werewolf movies, this one does have the greatest werewolf transformation of all time. Like, it lives up to the hype, if you've heard the hype. Look at those beady eyes, just pure insanity. This is like werewolf on crack. And then that will plug, gosh, you guys, I do not want to spend the money to get 4 of these, but all of these portraits look so good. Okay, so you can see the hair is kind of thick and hangs down on this werewolf portrait. So you're going to have to get it in just the right spot where the collar is to pop it into place. And I don't seem to be... So this is one thing that I might need to do. I might have to heat this guy up to get this head on there. I don't think it's going to quite go into place. But there you go. That looks awesome. And then we've got just kind of a brute head, like almost an orc type character. And again, think about Rick Baker just designing, like John Landis saying, all right, so our main character is going to have a nightmare. I'm trying to figure out which way the neck goes on this guy. John Landis, tells Rick Baker, okay, so our main character is going to have a nightmare. And I just need 4 horrifying characters. Just go to town. And this is what Rick Baker came up with. Look at just the way the lip is disconnected from the jaw here. And honestly, this almost looks like a stage of werewolf transformation as well. The way that the mandibles extend out of the face. This almost looks like an early version of that. Yeah, you get a little flash on the side of the head here that I'm not crazy about. But otherwise, also great portrait. I expect this one to pop onto that peg a little bit more easily because I don't have to worry about any hair. But at the same time, it's never a bad idea, as sturdy as NECA has been making stuff lately, it's never going to be a bad idea to heat your stuff up before, which I think I'm definitely going to heat these up before I pop these heads on. So this, but again, just fantastic, gruesome trooper. And then finally, we've got really another little bit of a variation, a werewolfy looking thing. I suppose all of these portraits could, in a sense, be the same species. So this is interesting. And it's not something I ever noticed, because when you're seeing these in motion, moving around independently of one another, they look like dynamic, unique characters. But now that I'm looking at them, I'm realizing something here. And if you already know this, that's fine. You can say in the comments, like, I've studied that film for decades and I was already well aware of this. How could you not know this? But looking at them side by side like this, it almost is the stages of werewolf transformation. Because, whoa, oh man. That's what I get for trying to balance anything. So here we have a mostly human portrait with, as I said, the mandibles just starting to sort of extend and separate there to push out of the mouth. And then we've got a little further along, the mandibles are a little further out, the face is heavier. You can see right here where this is starting to protrude more. He's got the ears, the hair there's much more hair on this one. And he's got some decomposition. Gosh, these are just fantastic. This really makes me want NECA to do a new pumpkin head. Or to do a pumpkin head. And then this one, which is kind of the final werewolf transformation, with the mandibles fully extended, the snout here, the crazy crackhead eyes. And then this one is after the werewolf is dead and decomposing, has been defeated. Is this, like, I cannot believe for a second that this has never been pointed out before. I don't think I've, like, discovered anything here, but I do think, as, like, for my own personal knowledge, it's something that I just never put together before, because, you know, you're in the movie, you're watching the movie, you're seeing these characters just kind of come in and ransack and destroy and be murderous, and they're 4 independent characters, so there's no reason to think there's any kind of evolution between their looks. But I see what I see, you guys, and it looks to me like that's very planned. So I was kind of thinking that the helmet might be interchangeable between this head and this head, but it's not. It's the helmet literally only goes on this head. So we're just going to put that right back on there. Let that peg sit into place. And there we go. And it pegs pretty securely into place too. Let's take a look at these accessories. So the default hands on this guy are just kind of C-grips, but they're the posed C-grips. So we've got one that's clearly for the torch. We've got one that's, well, either one of these, torch or knife, I think would work. And then we've got trigger, a right trigger finger, and just more of a straight up C grip. So actually, this one might be more for the torch. Looking at it, we have got a gun. Does not have a removable magazine, and that's fine. This isn't really the line that needs that sort of thing, but it is a very cool, distinctive gun. This is based on a real weapon. I couldn't tell you what it is. I am not a gun guy. I am a toy gun guy. But if you want to tell me in the comments what the heck this thing is, please do. I'll be happy to have that input, and so will the other viewers. Now this one, we've got a version. Okay, now wait. Is this an Uzi? Or is this like a Mac 10? This might be a Mac 10. Tell me, comment people. You know, you gun people, you know you're itching to say, oh, you dum-dum, you should know that that's a whatever it is. But you can see it's very heavily modified. It's got an extended clip. It's got a stock. It's got this, which is like, what even is... Oh, it looks like it's the remnants of a strap. That's interesting. So let's see here. Let's take a look at our references. So there's no... I'm trying to find a really nice picture of that particular gun. But this, I mean, it doesn't look like this is a flaw. It looks like there's just part of a strap hanging off of this for whatever reason. It's not like broken or anything. That's just how it is. Interesting. And then finally we have what I am almost certain is an Uzi, because it's the gun that Snake Eyes has. You can see what's interesting. I'm looking at these, and there's kind of a speckling on some of these, and I don't know if it's going to really show through in the video or not. But there's like a speckling of the finish. And I don't know if that's a production thing or if that's actually something that we're supposed to... You can see it if you look at the magazine and where it goes in. You can see it really well on this one. That's on all of these, so I gotta feel like it's an intentional thing. And then we've got two knives, one pre-slit attack stab, one post. Both look great. You know, this is... NECA's weapons are the gold standard of the industry to me, because they don't cheap out. They don't do like an all-black knife. They've got all of the sculpted and painted detail is present. Looks fantastic. Bloody or not. And then finally, we've got a really nice looking torch, translucent flame, really beautiful sculpt job on this flame. Look at that. Just excellently done piece there. So let's try... I think this one was the closest to popping right on. No, I'm going to have to heat this up to get this head on, because I'm not going to break this. So anyway, we'll get that's the knife hand, and that is the torch hand. Put that torch in there, and I'm going to take just a moment. That was about 20 seconds of heat on the neck peg. And there we go, right into place. Oh man, this is just great. I don't know that I'm going to order 3 more of these necessarily. But if I see them in Target, I am absolutely... I'm going to have to get some more, because I've got to have all of these portraits on my shelf. This is a gorgeous figure. And again, just to have that frame of reference of the first ever award for makeup effects. and this figure symbolizes a portion of that, is pretty incredible. So there you go. The Nightmare Soldiers, what do they call? Oh, Ultimate Nightmare Demons, from an American Werewolf in London, produced by NECA. Absolutely incredible action figure. I don't mind heating up a neck, but all the other joints worked really, really well. So good job, NECA. You're really continually stepping up your game. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends about Needless Things, and come back on Wednesday for what is essentially the second part of this review.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.